This letter was never sent. For 100 years it sat folded inside a wooden drawer in a lighthouse on the edge of a forgotten coast. No one opened it. No one knew it was there. Until now. Tonight I am going to read it to you. Every word, every pause, every breath he left between the lines. This is the last letter of a sailor who never came home. And maybe, just maybe, as you listen, you will feel the sea pulling you into sleep, the way it once pulled him into the dark. The night is quiet now. Let the waves carry you. Let the words become distant. You do not need to remember any of this. You only need to listen. It begins like this. My dearest Elara, I am writing this by the light of a single candle, in a cabin that smells of salt and old wood. The sea is calm tonight, which is rare. Most nights the ship groans and tilts, and I hold onto the edge of my bunk like a child holding onto his mother's hand. But tonight, everything is still. The kind of stillness that makes you think the world has stopped turning. And in that stillness, I think of you. I think of the morning we met. Do you remember? It was October. The market square was full of people selling apples and dried fish, and you were standing near the fountain, reading a book. I remember thinking, who reads a book in the middle of a market? And then you looked up, and I forgot every thought I ever had. Your eyes were the color of the sea before a storm. Not blue, not green, something in between, something that does not have a name. I walked toward you and I had nothing to say. I opened my mouth and I think I said something about the weather. The weather, Elara. Of all the things I could have said. You smiled, and that smile undid me completely. I have seen storms that could split a ship in half. I have seen waves taller than cathedral walls. But nothing in this world has ever been as powerful as the moment you smiled at me for the first time. We talked for hours that day. You told me about the books you loved, about the places you wanted to see, about the way you liked to walk along the cliffs at sunset and watch the light change on the water. I told you about the sea, about the way it sounds at night when you are alone on deck and the stars are so close you feel like you could reach up and touch them. You said that sounded lonely. I said it was. And then you said, maybe one day you will not have to be lonely anymore. And I think that was the moment I fell in love with you. Not slowly, not gradually, all at once, like a wave breaking against the shore. The candle is flickering now. The wax is dripping onto the paper, and I do not mind. It feels right, somehow, like the letter itself is crying. I want to tell you about the sea tonight. It is so flat, so perfectly still that it looks like a mirror. If I lean over the railing and look down, I can see the stars reflected in the water, and for a moment, I cannot tell which way is up and which way is down. It is beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Like love. Like everything that matters. The other men are sleeping. I can hear Mikhail snoring in the bunk below mine. He snores like a bear, Elara. Every night, the same deep rumbling sound, and every night I lie here and listen to it and think of you. I think of the sound of your breathing when you fall asleep. That soft, gentle rhythm. Like the tide coming in, like the world whispering that everything is going to be all right. I miss you in ways I did not know were possible. I miss the way you hum when you are cooking. I miss the way you tuck your hair behind your ear when you are concentrating. I miss the way you laugh. That full, unguarded laugh that makes everyone around you laugh too. I miss the way you say my name. No one says my name the way you do. When you say it, it sounds like it means something, like it belongs to someone worth knowing. The sea is still calm. Let me tell you about what happened today. We passed a group of dolphins in the morning. They swam alongside the ship for nearly an hour, leaping out of the water and diving back in, over and over, like they were playing a game only they understood. The men gathered on deck to watch, and for a little while, everyone forgot about the work and the cold and the distance from home. Even the captain smiled, and the captain never smiles. I watched the dolphins and I thought of you, because everything beautiful reminds me of you. Every sunset, every star, every moment of unexpected grace. I am getting tired now. My hand is cramping from holding the pen, and my eyes are heavy. But I do not want to stop writing. Writing to you is the closest I can get to being with you, and I am not ready to let that go. Not yet. Just a few more lines. Just a few more minutes of pretending you are here, sitting across from me, reading these words as I write them. Do you remember the night before I left? We sat on the porch and watched the stars come out, one by one, like someone was lighting candles in the sky. You were wrapped in that old blue blanket, the one with the frayed edges, and you leaned your head against my shoulder and said, "Promise me you will come back." And I said, "I promise." I said it like it was the easiest thing in the world, like I had any power over the sea, like I had any say in what happens next. I should not have made that promise, Elara, not because I do not intend to keep it, but because the sea does not care about promises. The sea does not care about love or hope or the things we whisper to each other in the dark. The sea is old and vast and indifferent, and it takes what it wants without asking. But I will try. I will try with everything I have to come back to you, because a life without you is not a life I want to live. It is just existing. It is just breathing and eating and sleeping and waiting for something that never comes. You are the thing that makes all of it mean something. You are the reason I look at the stars and feel wonder instead of loneliness. You are the reason I am not afraid of the dark. The candle is almost gone now, just a small flame barely holding on. I will finish this letter in the morning when the light comes back. For now I will fold it and put it under my pillow and dream of you. I always dream of you. Sometimes we are back at the market square, and you are reading your book, and I walk toward you, and this time I say something better than a comment about the weather. Sometimes we are on the cliffs, watching the sunset, and the light turns your hair to gold, and I reach out and touch your face, and you close your eyes and lean into my hand. And sometimes we are just sitting in our kitchen, drinking tea, saying nothing, and it is the most perfect moment I have ever known. Good night, Elara. The sea is singing tonight, a low, deep hum like a lullaby. I think it is singing for you. The morning came slowly, the kind of morning where the sky cannot decide if it wants to be gray or blue, so it settles for something in between. I woke up with your name on my lips, the way I always do. The letter was still under my pillow, warm from my sleep. I pulled it out and smoothed the creases and picked up my pen again. There is something I need to tell you. Something I have been carrying for weeks now. Like a stone in my chest, I did not want to write it down because writing it makes it real, and I am not ready for it to be real. But you deserve to know. You always deserve to know. The ship is not well, Elara. There is a crack in the hull just below the water line on the port side. The carpenter has patched it twice, but the patch does not hold. Every night water seeps in, slow and steady, like the sea is patient, like it knows it will win eventually. The captain says we will make it to port. He says it with confidence, the way captains do, as if saying something firmly enough can make it true. But I have seen the way he looks at the horizon when he thinks no one is watching. I have seen the worry in his eyes, and I know that look. It is the same look I see in the mirror every morning. I do not tell you this to frighten you. I tell you because if something happens, if the sea decides to collect what it is owed, I want you to know that I was not afraid. I want you to know that in the moments when the water was rising and the wood was groaning and the world was falling apart, I was thinking of you. I was holding your face in my mind like a lantern in the dark. And that was enough. That was more than enough. But let us not think about that now. Let us think about something beautiful instead. Let me tell you about the sunset I saw yesterday. It was the kind of sunset that makes you believe in God. or at least in something bigger than yourself. The sky turned orange, then pink, then a deep, impossible purple, and the clouds looked like they were on fire, and the sea reflected all of it, every color, every shade, until the whole world was burning with light. I stood on deck and watched it, and I felt so small and so grateful and so alive. And I thought, I need to remember this. I need to hold this moment in my hands and carry it with me, so that when the dark times come, I can take it out and look at it, and remember that the world is capable of this. This beauty, this grace, this overwhelming, heartbreaking loveliness. The sea is getting rougher now. I can feel the ship beginning to sway, that familiar rocking motion that used to make me sick but now feels like home. The waves are picking up, and the wind is starting to howl, and somewhere in the distance I can hear thunder. A storm is coming. They always come, sooner or later. You cannot sail the open ocean without meeting storms. The trick is not to avoid them. The trick is to survive them. I'm going to pause here for a moment. I need to secure some things on deck before the storm hits. I will come back to this letter. I promise. There is so much more I want to say. The storm lasted 3 days. 3 days of wind and rain and waves that crashed over the deck like the fists of an angry god. 3 days of holding on, of praying, of watching the horizon disappear behind walls of gray water. The crack in the hull got worse. The carpenter worked through the night, hammering and cursing, while the rest of us bailed water with buckets and pots and anything we could find. My arms ached, my back ached, everything ached. But we kept going, because stopping meant sinking, and sinking meant never seeing you again. On the second night of the storm, I went up on deck to check the rigging. The rain was so heavy I could barely see my own hands. The wind was screaming, actually screaming, like a living thing in pain. And then a wave hit the ship broadside, and I lost my footing and slid across the deck and grabbed onto a rope just before I went over the railing. For a moment, just a moment, I was hanging there, half over the edge, with the black sea churning below me, and I thought, this is it, this is how it ends. And do you know what I felt? Not fear, not panic, just sadness. A deep, quiet sadness, because I had promised you I would come back, and I was about to break that promise. But I did not go over. I pulled myself back. I crawled across the deck on my hands and knees, and I made it back to the hatch, and I climbed down into the cabin, and I sat there, soaking wet, shaking, alive. And I pulled out this letter, and I held it against my chest, and I whispered your name, over and over, like a prayer. Elara, Elara, Elara. The storm passed on the third day. It left as suddenly as it came, like a guest who overstays their welcome and then vanishes without saying goodbye. The sky cleared, and the sun came out, and the sea turned from gray to blue, and everything was calm again. We assessed the damage. The mast was cracked. 2 of the sails were torn. The crack in the hull was wider now, and the carpenter shook his head and said nothing, which was worse than anything he could have said. But we were alive, all of us. Every single man on this ship survived the storm, and that felt like a miracle. The kind of miracle you do not question. You just accept it and say thank you and keep going. I am writing this in the afternoon now. The sun is warm on my face, and the sea is calm, and if I close my eyes, I can almost pretend I am sitting on our porch, with you beside me, with the sound of the waves in the distance instead of all around me. Almost, but not quite, because the sea is not the same when you are on it as when you are watching it from the shore. From the shore, it is beautiful. From the ship, it is everything. It is your whole world. It is the ground beneath your feet, and the sky above your head, and the walls on every side. There is no escape from it. There is no looking away. You are in it, completely, and it is in you. Let me tell you about the men on this ship. I have not told you much about them, and I think you would like to know. There is Mikhail, who I mentioned before, the one who snores. He is from a small village in the north, and he has a wife and 3 children, and he carries a photograph of them in his breast pocket, and every night before he sleeps, he takes it out and looks at it and whispers something I cannot hear. I think he is saying their names. I think he is reminding himself why he is here, why he left them, why he endures the cold and the danger and the loneliness. For them. Always for them. There is Henrik, the first mate, who has been sailing for 30 years and has a scar on his left cheek from a fishhook and a laugh that sounds like a barrel rolling down a hill. He tells stories every evening, long, winding stories about ports he has visited and women he has loved and fights he has won and lost. The men gather around him like children around a campfire, and for a little while, the ship feels less like a prison and more like a home. There is young Thomas, who is only 17 and should not be here at all. He lied about his age to get on the ship, and everyone knows it, but no one says anything, because he works harder than any of us and never complains. He reminds me of myself at that age, full of fire and foolishness and the unshakable belief that nothing bad can happen to you. I want to protect him, Elara. I want to grab him by the shoulders and say, go home. Go home to your mother and your father and your warm bed and your safe, dry life on land. But I do not, because I know he would not listen. Because I know that the sea calls to some people the way music calls to a musician or paint calls to a painter. It is not a choice. It is a compulsion. It is something in your blood that will not let you rest until you answer it. And then there is the captain, Captain Aldrich. He's a tall man with a gray beard and eyes the color of iron. He speaks rarely, and when he does, every word carries weight, like stones dropped into still water. He has been sailing these waters for longer than anyone can remember, and the men respect him not because he demands it, but because he has earned it 1,000 times over in 1,000 storms. I trust him with my life. I have to. Out here, trust is not a luxury. It is a necessity. It is the rope that keeps you from falling. The sun is setting now. Another day gone. Another day closer to you, or another day further away. I cannot tell any more. Time on the sea is strange. It stretches and compresses in ways that do not make sense. A single hour can feel like a week, and a whole week can feel like an hour. The only constant is the water, the endless, eternal, unchanging water. I want to tell you something, Elara, something I have never told anyone. Sometimes, late at night, when the ship is quiet and the stars are out and the sea is still, I hear something, a voice. Not a human voice, something older, something deeper. It comes from the water, from somewhere far below the surface, and it sounds like singing. A low, wordless melody that rises and falls with the waves. The other men do not hear it. I have asked, casually, carefully, and they look at me like I am losing my mind. Maybe I am. Maybe the sea does that to you, after long enough. Maybe it gets inside your head and starts to sing, and you cannot tell anymore what is real and what is the ocean dreaming through you. But I do not think I am imagining it. I think the sea has a voice. I think it has been singing since the beginning of time, since before there were ships or sailors or anyone to listen. And I think sometimes if you are quiet enough, if you let go of everything you think you know, you can hear it. And it is the most beautiful and the most terrifying sound in the world. The night is here again. The stars are coming out one by one the way they always do, like someone is lighting candles in the sky. I said that before, did I not? I am repeating myself. Forgive me. When you are at sea for this long, your thoughts start to circle, like a bird that cannot find a place to land. The same memories, the same fears, the same hopes, round and round and round. I am going to sleep now. The letter will wait. It has been waiting for days already. What is one more night? I dreamed of you again. We were in the garden behind your mother's house, the one with the roses and the old stone wall. You were planting something, I could not see what, and your hands were covered in dirt, and you were smiling. That private smile you have, the one that is not for anyone else, just for yourself. Just for the quiet pleasure of being alive and doing something you love. I watched you from the doorway, and I did not say anything, because the moment was so perfect I was afraid that if I spoke, it would shatter, like glass, like ice, like all the fragile things in this world that cannot survive being touched. When I woke up, the cabin was dark and the ship was rocking gently. And for a moment, just a moment, I did not know where I was. I reached out for you, the way I always do in the morning, my hands searching for the warmth of your body beside me. But there was only the cold wooden wall of the bunk, and the sound of the sea, always the sea. Today is Sunday. I know this because Henrik keeps a calendar scratched into the wall of his cabin, and every morning he crosses off another day with a piece of charcoal. Sundays are supposed to be rest days, but there is no rest on a ship. The sea does not observe the Sabbath. The wind does not take a day off. There is always something to do, ropes to mend, sails to check, water to bail from the hold where the crack keeps letting the ocean in slow and steady, like a heartbeat. I spent the morning on deck, watching the horizon. There is something hypnotic about the horizon at sea. It is a perfect line, ruler straight, dividing the world into two halves, sky and water, above and below, known and unknown. I stared at it until my eyes ached, looking for something. Land, a ship, a sign. Anything that would tell me we are not alone out here, that the world has not forgotten us, that somewhere beyond that line, there is solid ground and warm fires and people who love us waiting for us to come home. But there was nothing, just the line. Just the endless, empty, beautiful line. Elara, I need to tell you about the night the stars fell. It was about 2 weeks ago, maybe 3. I have lost track. We were sailing through calm waters, and the sky was clear, and suddenly, without warning, the stars began to fall. Not 1 or 2, but dozens, hundreds, streaking across the sky like silver rain, like the heavens were weeping light. The men came up on deck and stood there, silent, their faces turned upward, their mouths open, and no one said a word. Because what can you say in the face of something like that? What words are big enough? I thought of you. Of course I thought of you. I thought of the night we lay on the beach and watched for shooting stars, and you said that every falling star is a wish someone made that did not come true, and it is falling back to earth to try again. I do not know if that is true, but I made a wish that night on every single star that fell, the same wish over and over, to come home, to see your face, to hold you one more time. The stars fell for almost an hour, and then they stopped, and the sky was still again, and the men went back to their bunks, and the ship sailed on, and everything was the same as before. Except it was not. Because you cannot see something like that and be the same afterward. You cannot witness that kind of beauty and not be changed by it. Even if the change is so small you cannot name it. Even if it is just a tiny shift in the way you see the world, a slight widening of the eyes, a softening of the heart. I am writing faster now. My hand is moving across the paper like it has a mind of its own, like the words are pouring out of me and I cannot stop them. There is so much I want to say, Elara. So much I have been holding inside, waiting for the right moment, the right words, the right arrangement of letters on the page. But there is no right moment. There is only now. And now is all we ever have. I love you. I know I have said it before, in other letters, in whispered conversations, in the quiet moments before sleep. But I need to say it again, because every time I say it, it means something slightly different. It grows, it deepens, it becomes more true. I love you the way the sea loves the shore, endlessly, relentlessly, with a force that cannot be stopped or reasoned with or explained. I love you the way the stars love the night, quietly, faithfully, always there even when you cannot see them. I love you the way the rain loves the earth, falling and falling and falling, giving everything, asking nothing in return. The afternoon is fading, the light is turning golden, the way it does in the hour before sunset, when everything looks like it has been dipped in honey. I am sitting on a coil of rope near the bow, and the wind is gentle, and the ship is moving slowly, and if I close my eyes, I can hear that singing again, that deep, wordless melody from beneath the waves. It is softer today, gentler, like a lullaby, like the sea is trying to put me to sleep. Maybe I will let it. Maybe I will close my eyes and let the rocking of the ship and the sound of the water carry me away the way a river carries a leaf. Without effort, without resistance, just floating, just drifting, just letting go. But not yet. Not yet. There is more to write. I want to tell you about the albatross. It appeared 3 days ago, a huge white bird with wings wider than a man is tall. It has been following the ship, circling overhead in slow, lazy spirals, riding the wind without ever seeming to flap its wings. The men say it is good luck. They say an albatross following a ship means fair winds and safe passage. I do not know if I believe in luck, but I believe in beauty, and this bird is beautiful. The way it moves through the air, so effortless, so free, it makes me ache with envy. To be that free, to have no walls, no boundaries, no obligations, just the sky and the wind and the endless open air. But then I think of you, and I do not want to be free. I want to be bound. I want to be tied to you, to our life, to our home, to the future we planned together on those long evenings when we sat by the fire and talked about everything and nothing. I want the walls. I want the boundaries. I want the beautiful ordinary prison of a life shared with someone you love. The albatross is still there. I can see it now, a white shape against the darkening sky, circling, circling, always circling. I wonder what it sees when it looks down at us. A tiny wooden ship on a vast gray sea. A handful of men, small and fragile and far from home. Does it pity us? Does it wonder why we do this, why we leave the safety of the land and venture out into this enormous, indifferent emptiness? Or does it understand? Does it know that some of us have no choice, that the sea is in our blood, that we are drawn to it the way the albatross is drawn to the wind? Night again. The stars are out. The sea is calm. The ship rocks gently back and forth like a cradle, like a mother rocking her child to sleep. I am tired, Elara, so tired. Not just in my body, but in my soul. The kind of tiredness that sleep cannot fix. The kind that comes from being away from the person you love for too long, from carrying too much hope and too much fear in the same heart. But I keep going. We all keep going. Because that is what sailors do. That is what people do. We keep going, even when we are tired, even when we are afraid. Even when the horizon is empty and the storm is coming, and the crack in the hull is getting wider. We keep going because the alternative is to stop, and stopping is the one thing we cannot do. I want to tell you a story. Henrik told it to us last night, gathered around the lantern in the mess hall, with the shadows dancing on the walls, and the ship creaking around us like a living thing. He said that long ago, before there were maps or compasses or any of the things we used to find our way. Sailors navigated by the stars. They would look up at the night sky and find the patterns, the constellations, and use them to chart their course across the open water. And there was one star, the North Star, that never moved. No matter where you were, no matter how lost you felt, you could always find the North Star, and it would show you the way home. Henrik said that every sailor needs a North Star, not just in the sky, but in their heart. Something fixed, something constant, something that does not move no matter how rough the seas get. And when he said that, I thought of you, because you are my North Star, Elara. You are the fixed point in my universe. You are the thing that does not move, that does not change, that is always there, steady and bright and true, guiding me home. The lantern is burning low. The oil is almost gone. I should save it, but I cannot stop writing. The words are coming faster now, tumbling out of me like water from a broken dam. I think it is because I am afraid, not of the sea, not of the storm, not of the crack in the hull or the long miles between us. I am afraid of silence. I am afraid of the moment when I put down the pen and there is nothing left but the sound of the waves and the darkness and the distance between your heart and mine. So I keep writing. I keep filling the silence with words, with memories, with all the things I wish I could say to your face instead of to this piece of paper. And maybe, somewhere, somehow, you can feel it. Maybe the words travel across the water, carried by the wind, and find their way to you, and you wake up in the middle of the night with a feeling you cannot explain, a warmth in your chest, a whisper in your ear, and you know, without knowing how you know, that I am thinking of you, that I am always thinking of you. Do you remember the first time I took you sailing? It was a small boat, just big enough for two, and the bay was calm, and the sun was shining, and you were terrified. You gripped the sides of the boat so hard your knuckles turned white, and every time the boat tilted even slightly, you gasped and grabbed my arm. And I laughed. Not at you, never at you, but at the joy of it, the pure, simple joy of being on the water with the person I loved. And slowly, gradually, you relaxed. You let go of the sides. You leaned back and closed your eyes and let the sun warm your face. And you said, I understand now. I understand why you love this. And I said, this is nothing. You should see the open ocean. And you said, maybe one day. And I said, maybe one day. That day never came, and I am sorry for that. I am sorry for all the maybe one days that turned into never. I am sorry for the promises I made and could not keep, for the plans we drew in the sand that the tide washed away, for the future we imagined that keeps getting further and further away, like the horizon, always there, always visible, but never any closer. The oil is gone. The lantern has died. I am writing in the dark now, by feel, by memory, by the faint light of the stars coming through the porthole. My handwriting must be terrible. You will probably not be able to read half of this. But I do not care. I am not writing for legibility. I am writing for survival. Every word I put on this paper is a rope thrown across the ocean, connecting me to you, keeping me from drowning in the vastness of all this water and all this distance and all this time. Morning again. I slept for a few hours fitfully, dreaming of storms and stars in your face. The sun is up, pale and watery, filtering through a thin layer of clouds. The sea is gray today, not the angry gray of a storm, but the quiet gray of resignation, like the ocean is tired too. Like it has been carrying ships and secrets and sorrows for so long that it has forgotten what it feels like to be still. The carpenter came to see the captain this morning. I was nearby, coiling rope, and I heard their conversation. The crack is worse, the patches are failing. We are taking on more water every hour. The carpenter said we need to find port soon, or the ship will not make it. The captain nodded and said nothing. He looked at the horizon, that empty, endless line, and I saw something in his eyes I had never seen before. Not fear. Something worse. Acceptance. I do not want to accept anything, Elara. I want to fight. I want to rage against the sea, and the wind, and the crack in the hull, and the distance between us. I want to grab the horizon with both hands and pull it closer. Pull the land closer, pull you closer. But you cannot fight the ocean. You can only endure it. You can only keep bailing water and patching holes and hoping that the shore appears before the sea swallows you whole. I am going to tell you something beautiful now, because I need something beautiful, and I think you do too. Last night, just before I fell asleep, I saw something through the porthole. A light, not a star, not the moon, but a soft greenish glow on the surface of the water. I got up and went on deck, and the entire sea was glowing. Phosphorescence, Henrik called it. Tiny creatures in the water that produce light, millions of them, turning the ocean into a field of green fire. It was like sailing through a dream. The ship left a trail of light behind it, a glowing wake that stretched back into the darkness, and everywhere I looked, the water was alive with this soft, ethereal radiance. I stood there for a long time, watching. The other men came up too, one by one, drawn by the light, and we all stood there in silence, a group of tired, frightened, homesick men staring at the glowing sea. And for a moment, just a moment, everything was all right. The crack in the hull did not matter. The empty horizon did not matter. The distance and the danger and the fear did not matter. Because the world was showing us something miraculous, something that existed for no reason other than to be beautiful. And in the face of that beauty, all our troubles seemed small, temporary, survivable. I thought of you standing beside me, your face lit by that green glow, your eyes wide with wonder. I could almost feel your hand in mine. Almost. The word almost is the cruelest word in any language, Elara. It is the word that lives in the space between what you have and what you want. It is the word that keeps you reaching, always reaching, for something just beyond your grasp. The phosphorescence faded with the dawn. The sea went back to being gray and ordinary. But I will carry that image with me for the rest of my life, however long or short that may be. It is afternoon now. The wind has picked up, and the ship is moving faster. The captain has changed course. He will not say where we are going, but I think he is looking for land. Any land, a port, an island, a rocky shore, where we can beach the ship and make repairs. The men are quiet. They know something is wrong. You can feel it in the air, that heavy, electric tension, like the moment before a thunderstorm. Everyone is waiting. Everyone is watching the horizon. I am watching too. But I am not looking for land. I am looking for you. I know that is foolish. I know you are thousands of miles away, in our little house by the sea, going about your day, living your life, waiting for a letter that may never come. But I look for you anyway, in the clouds, in the waves, in the patterns the light makes on the water. I look for you everywhere because you are everywhere. You are in everything I see and everything I feel and everything I am. The wind is getting stronger. I can hear the sails straining, that deep groaning sound they make when the wind is pushing them to their limit. The ship is tilting, leaning into the wind, cutting through the waves with a determination that feels almost human. Like the ship itself wants to survive, like it knows what is at stake. I should go help on deck. The men will need every hand. But I want to write just a little more, just a few more words. Because every word is a heartbeat, and every heartbeat is a moment I am still alive, still here, still yours. I love you, Elara. I love you more than the sea loves the moon. I love you more than the stars love the night. I love you more than words can say, which is why I keep trying to say it over and over in every letter and every line, hoping that if I say it enough times, the words will finally be big enough to hold everything I feel. The wind is howling now. I have to go. I will come back to this letter. I will always come back to this letter. It is the thread that connects me to you, and I will not let it break. Not now. Not ever. 3 days have passed since I last wrote. 3 days of wind and work and worry. The ship is struggling. I can feel it in the way it moves, a heaviness, a reluctance, like a horse that has been ridden too hard and too far. The crack in the hull is letting in more water than we can bail. The men work in shifts, around the clock, hauling buckets of seawater up from the hold and dumping them over the side, only to watch the hold fill up again. It is like trying to empty the ocean with a cup, futile, exhausting. But we do it anyway, because the alternative is to give up, and giving up is not something any of us knows how to do. The captain found an island on the map, a small one, barely a dot, but it has a harbor, and that is all we need. He says we can reach it in 2 days if the wind holds. 2 days, 48 hours. It sounds like nothing. It sounds like forever. I am writing this in the hold, sitting on a crate of supplies with water sloshing around my ankles. The lantern swings with the motion of the ship, casting wild shadows on the walls. It is cold down here. Cold and damp and dark. But it is quiet, and quiet is what I need right now. Quiet and you. I have been thinking about time, about how strange it is, how elastic. A minute with you feels like a second. A day without you feels like a year. And out here, on the sea, time loses all meaning. There is no Monday or Tuesday, no morning or afternoon, just the endless cycle of light and dark, wave and trough, hope and fear. The sea exists outside of time. It was here before us, and it will be here after us, and in between, we are just visitors passing through, leaving no trace. But that is not true, is it? We do leave traces. We leave them in the hearts of the people we love. We leave them in the memories we make, in the words we write, in the letters we send across the ocean, hoping they will find their way to the right hands. This letter is my trace. This letter is the proof that I was here, that I lived, that I loved you. The water is rising. I should go back to bailing. But first, let me tell you one more thing. I found something today, in the hold, buried under a pile of old canvas, a music box, small, wooden, with a brass handle on the side. I do not know who it belongs to or how it got here, but I wound it up and opened the lid, and it played a melody I had never heard before. Simple, gentle, a few notes repeated over and over like a lullaby. And something about that melody, something about the way it echoed in the dark, wet hold of this dying ship, broke something inside me. I sat there on the crate with the water around my ankles and the music box in my hands, and I cried. I cried for the first time since I left you. Not loud, heaving sobs, but quiet tears, the kind that slide down your face without permission, the kind you cannot stop even if you wanted to. I cried because I miss you. I cried because I am afraid. I cried because the music was so beautiful and the world is so vast and I am so small and so far from home. I cried because the music box sounded like your voice, like the way you hum when you are cooking, that absent, unconscious melody that fills the kitchen like sunlight. I cried because I want to come home, Elara. I want to come home so badly it feels like a physical pain, a tightness in my chest, a burning in my throat, a weight on my shoulders that gets heavier with every passing day. The music box wound down and stopped. The hold was quiet again, except for the sound of the water and the groaning of the ship. I wiped my eyes and put the music box in my pocket. I will keep it. I will carry it with me, along with this letter and the memory of your face and the hope, the stubborn, irrational, unbreakable hope that I will see you again. Now I must go. The water will not bail itself. We made it to the island. I am writing this on solid ground, sitting on a rock overlooking the harbor, with the ship beached on the sand below me like a wounded animal. The men are working on the hull, replacing the cracked planks, sealing the gaps, making the ship whole again. The captain says it will take a week, maybe more. A week on solid ground. A week of not rocking, not swaying, not listening to the endless sound of the sea. It should feel like a relief, and it does, in a way. But it also feels strange. My body has gotten so used to the motion of the ship that the stillness of the land feels wrong. I keep expecting the ground to tilt beneath my feet. I keep reaching for something to hold on to. The island is small and green and beautiful. There are trees here, actual trees, with leaves and branches and birds singing in them. I had forgotten what trees sound like. I had forgotten the sound of wind through leaves, that soft, rustling whisper that is nothing like the howl of wind through rigging. There are flowers, too, small white ones that grow in clusters along the path from the harbor to the village. I picked one and pressed it between the pages of this letter. Can you see it? Can you smell it? It smells like rain and honey and something else, something I cannot name, something that reminds me of the garden behind your mother's house. There is a village on the island, a small one, just a handful of houses clustered around a church with a white steeple. The people here are kind. They brought us food and fresh water and blankets, and they ask no questions because they understand. They are island people. They know the sea. They know what it does to men. They know the look in our eyes, that haunted, grateful, half-wild look of people who have been too long on the water. I am staying in a room above the tavern. It is small and simple, just a bed and a chair and a window that looks out over the harbor. But it has a mattress, Elara, an actual mattress, with sheets and a pillow. After months of sleeping on a wooden bunk, it feels like the most luxurious thing in the world. I lay down on it last night and I almost wept with the sheer comfort of it. My body sank into the softness, and every muscle, every joint, every aching, exhausted part of me let go, and I slept. I slept deeply and dreamlessly for the first time in months. No rocking, no creaking, no sound of water seeping through the hull, just silence. Beautiful, perfect, healing silence. I woke up this morning feeling like a new person. The sun was streaming through the window, warm and golden, and I could hear birds singing and children laughing, and the distant sound of hammers as the men worked on the ship. I got up and went to the window and looked out at the harbor, and the sea was there, blue and calm and sparkling in the sunlight, and for the first time in a long time, it did not look like an enemy. It looked like what it is. Water, just water, beautiful and dangerous and indifferent, but just water. I went for a walk this morning, along the cliffs on the eastern side of the island. The path was narrow and steep, winding through tall grass and wildflowers, and the wind was gentle, carrying the smell of salt and earth and growing things. I walked for an hour, maybe more, not thinking about anything, just moving, just breathing, just being alive on solid ground under an open sky. And then I came to a place where the cliffs dropped away and the whole ocean spread out before me, vast and blue and endless, and I sat down on the edge and let my legs dangle over the drop, and I just looked. I looked at the sea the way you look at someone you love but do not fully understand. With wonder, with respect, with a kind of helpless devotion that you cannot explain or defend. The sea has taken so much from me: time, comfort, safety, peace of mind. But it has given me things too. It has given me sunsets that defy description. It has given me stars that fall like rain. It has given me phosphorescent nights and dolphins at dawn, and the sound of its voice, that deep, eternal singing that I hear in my dreams. It has given me perspective. It has shown me how small I am, how brief my life is, how precious every moment, every breath, every heartbeat. And it has given me you. Because if I were not a sailor, I would never have left my village, and I would never have come to the market that October morning, and I would never have seen you standing by the fountain with your book, and I would never have fallen in love. So I sat on the cliff, and I looked at the sea, and I said, thank you. And I meant it, despite everything, despite the storms and the fear and the crack in the hull and the long, lonely nights. Thank you. The days on the island pass slowly. The men work on the ship. I help when I can, but the carpenter says I am more useful fetching supplies than swinging a hammer, so I spend most of my time walking between the village and the harbor, carrying planks and nails and buckets of tar. It is simple work, honest work, and I am grateful for it. It keeps my hands busy and my mind quiet. In the evenings, the men gather at the tavern. The islanders join us, and there is food and drink and music. One of the villagers plays the fiddle, a fast, lively tune that makes the men clap and stamp their feet. And for a little while, everyone forgets about the sea and the ship and the long journey ahead. Henrik tells his stories. Mikhail shows everyone the photograph of his family. Young Thomas dances with a girl from the village, awkward and blushing and happy in a way that makes my heart ache. I sit in the corner and write. I write to you, always to you. The words come easier here, on solid ground, with a roof over my head and a fire in the hearth. They flow like water, like the sea itself, endless and unstoppable. I write about the island and the men and the ship. I write about the cliffs and the flowers and the sound of the fiddle. I write about the way the firelight dances on the walls, and the way the ale tastes, and the way the laughter sounds, warm and human and alive. And I write about you, about the way I miss you, about the way I love you, about the way every beautiful thing I see makes me wish you were here to see it too. The ship is almost ready. The carpenter says 2 more days, maybe 3, and then we will set sail again, back into the blue, back into the unknown. Part of me does not want to go. Part of me wants to stay here on this small, green, peaceful island and never set foot on a ship again. But I know I cannot. The sea is calling. It always calls. And I must answer, because answering is the only way home. The only way back to you. I found the lighthouse today. It is on the northern tip of the island, perched on a rocky outcrop overlooking the open sea. It is old, older than the village, older than anyone can remember. The stone is weathered and cracked, and the paint is peeling, and the light at the top has not worked in years. But it is still standing. After all this time, after all the storms and the wind and the salt and the rain, it is still standing. There is something noble about that, something defiant. Like the lighthouse is saying, I am here, I have always been here, and I will be here long after you are gone. I climbed to the top. The stairs were narrow and winding, and some of the steps were crumbling, and I had to be careful where I put my feet. But I made it to the top, and the view took my breath away. The whole island spread out below me, green and gold in the afternoon light, and beyond it, the sea, stretching to the horizon in every direction, blue and silver and infinite. I could see the ship in the harbor, small as a toy, and the men working on it, tiny figures moving back and forth. I could see the village, the white steeple of the church, the smoke rising from the chimneys, and I could see the sky, enormous and clear, with clouds drifting across it like ships on a celestial sea. I stood there for a long time. The wind was strong at the top of the lighthouse, pulling at my clothes, tugging at my hair, and I leaned into it and closed my eyes and let it hold me. And I thought about the lighthouse keeper, the person who used to live here, who used to climb these stairs every evening to light the lamp, who used to stand where I am standing and look out at the same sea and the same sky. Who were they? What was their life like? Did they have someone waiting for them the way you wait for me? Did they write letters that were never sent? I found a drawer in the keeper's room, a small wooden drawer in a small wooden desk, and inside it, nothing, empty. But the wood was worn smooth, as if someone had opened and closed it 1,000 times, as if someone had kept something precious inside it, something they touched every day, something that mattered more than anything else in the world. And I thought, this is where I will leave my letter. If something happens, if the sea takes me, if I do not make it home, I will leave this letter in this drawer, in this lighthouse, on this island, and maybe someday someone will find it, and maybe they will read it, and maybe they will understand. But not yet. I am not ready to leave it yet. I still have words to write, I still have things to say, and I still have hope, Stubborn, foolish, beautiful hope. The ship is ready. We leave tomorrow with the morning tide. The carpenter has done his work well. The hull is solid, the sails are mended, the mast is reinforced. The ship looks almost new, almost strong, almost ready for whatever the sea has in store. Almost. There is that word again. I spent my last evening on the island sitting on the cliff, watching the sunset. It was spectacular, as sunsets often are when you know you are seeing them for the last time. The sky turned every color I have ever seen and some I have not, and the sea caught the light and held it, and for a few minutes the whole world was on fire. And then the sun slipped below the horizon, and the colors faded, and the stars came out, and the night was quiet and dark and full of possibility. I thought about all the sunsets I have seen from the deck of the ship. Dozens, hundreds, each one different, each one beautiful. And I thought about all the sunsets I have missed, the ones that happened while I was sleeping or working or staring at the wrong part of the sky. And I thought about all the sunsets yet to come, the ones I will see and the ones I will not. And I made a promise to myself, not to you this time. To myself. I promise that if I make it home, if the sea lets me go, I will never take a sunset for granted again. I will watch every single one. I will stand on our porch and hold your hand and watch the light change and the colors bloom and the day surrender to the night. And I will be grateful for the light, for the dark, for you, for everything. We set sail at dawn. The island grew smaller behind us, shrinking from a world to a shape to a dot to nothing. And then it was gone, and there was only the sea again, the endless, eternal, unchanging sea. The first few days were calm. The wind was steady, the sky was clear, and the ship moved through the water with a grace and ease that felt like a gift. The men were in good spirits. The rest on the island had restored something in all of us, a strength, a resilience, a willingness to believe that things might turn out all right. Even the captain seemed lighter. He stood at the helm with his face turned to the wind, and I could have sworn I saw him smile. I spent the days on deck, working and watching and writing. The sea was beautiful, that deep, impossible blue that you only see in the open ocean, far from land, far from everything. Dolphins appeared again, a whole pod of them, leaping and diving alongside the ship, and young Thomas hung over the railing and tried to touch them, and Henrik grabbed him by the belt and pulled him back, laughing and cursing at the same time. At night, I wrote to you, page after page, filling the silence with words, building a bridge of ink and paper across the miles between us. I wrote about the dolphins and the blue water, and the way the ship felt different now, stronger, more sure of itself. I wrote about the men and their stories and their laughter. I wrote about the stars, which were brighter out here than anywhere I had ever seen. So bright they seemed to pulse like heartbeats, like the sky itself was alive. And I wrote about you, always about you. About the curve of your neck and the sound of your laugh and the way you wrinkle your nose when you are thinking. About the way you dance when you think no one is watching, that silly, joyful, uninhibited dance that makes me love you so much I can barely breathe. About the way you hold my hand, not tightly, not loosely, but just right, like you are saying, I am here, I am not going anywhere, you are safe. A week passed, then two. The wind held, the sky stayed clear, the ship sailed on, steady and true, and the horizon remained empty, but it did not feel threatening anymore. It felt like a promise. Like the world was saying, keep going, you are almost there. And then, on the 15th day, I saw it, a smudge on the horizon, a dark line barely visible, like a pencil mark on a sheet of blue paper. Land. I shouted it from the crow's nest, where I had climbed to get a better view, and the men came running, and they looked where I was pointing, and they saw it too, and a cheer went up, a ragged, joyful, desperate cheer that echoed across the water and was swallowed by the sky. Land. After all this time. After all the storms and the fear and the endless empty ocean, land. But we are not there yet. The smudge is still far away, days away, and the sea can change in an instant. I know this. We all know this. So we do not celebrate. We do not relax. We keep working, keep watching, keep hoping. And I keep writing. Elara, I am going to finish this letter now. Not because I have run out of things to say, but because I think I have said enough. I think you know everything you need to know. I think you have always known. I love you. I am coming home. The sea is vast and the journey is long and the world is full of dangers I cannot predict or control. But I am coming home. To you. To our house by the sea. To our porch and our garden and our kitchen and our bed. To the sound of your voice and the touch of your hand and the warmth of your body beside mine in the dark. Wait for me, Elara. Wait for me the way the shore waits for the tide. With patience, with faith, with the quiet certainty that what has gone out will come back again. I am folding this letter now. I am putting it in the envelope. I am writing your name on the front, in my best handwriting, the handwriting you always tease me about, the one that looks like a spider dipped in ink and crawled across the page. I am sealing it with wax from the candle, and I am putting it in my pocket close to my heart, where it will stay until I can put it in your hands. Or, if the sea decides otherwise, it will stay in the drawer of the lighthouse, on the island with no name, waiting for someone to find it, waiting for someone to read it, waiting for someone to know that once, a long time ago, a sailor loved a woman so much that he filled an entire letter with nothing but the sound of his heart breaking and mending and breaking and mending again, over and over, like the waves on the shore. The sea is calm tonight. The stars are out. The ship rocks gently, back and forth, and somewhere far away I can hear that singing again, that deep, wordless melody from beneath the waves. It is soft tonight, gentle, like a lullaby, like the sea is singing me to sleep. And I think I will let it. I think I will close my eyes and let the rocking of the ship carry me away. I think I will dream of you, of your face, of your smile, of the morning we met in the market square when you looked up from your book and the whole world changed. Good night, Elara. Good night, my love, my North Star, my home. The sea is singing. Can you hear it? Listen. Listen closely. It is singing for you. The waves rise and fall like breathing, like the chest of someone, sleeping. Like the rhythm of a heart that will not stop beating, no matter how tired it is, no matter how far from home. Rise and fall, rise and fall. The stars are fading now, not disappearing, just growing softer, dimmer, like candles burning down to nothing. The sky is not dark anymore. It is that color between dark and light, that nameless shade that exists only in the hour before dawn, when the world is holding its breath, waiting for the sun. The ship moves through the water, slowly, gently. The sails are slack, barely catching the wind, and the hull whispers against the waves a soft, shushing sound, like a mother calming a child. Shh. Everything is all right. Everything is going to be all right. I am lying in my bunk now. The letter is under my pillow. The music box is in my pocket. The porthole is open, and I can smell the sea, that clean salt smell that I have come to love despite everything. Or maybe because of everything. The air is cool on my face. The blanket is warm around my shoulders, and the rocking, that gentle, endless rocking, is pulling me down, down, down into sleep. I think of you, your face, your hands, the way you breathe when you are sleeping, that soft, steady rhythm that is the most comforting sound in the world. I match my breathing to yours even though you are not here. In, out, slow, steady, like the tide, like the waves, like the sea itself, breathing in its sleep. The singing is softer now, almost gone, just a whisper, just a hum, just the faintest trace of melody drifting up from the deep, carried on the current, dissolving into the silence. And the silence is not empty, it is full, full of the sound of the water, full of the sound of the wind, full of the sound of the ship, creaking and sighing, settling into the night like an old man settling into his chair, full of the sound of my breathing, in, out, in, out. The stars are almost gone, the sky is growing lighter. Somewhere far away the sun is rising, but I do not need to see it. I do not need to see anything. I just need to lie here, in the dark, in the warmth, in the gentle rocking of the ship, and let the sea carry me. Carry me home, carry me to sleep, carry me to you. The waves rise and fall, rise and fall, rise and fall, and the sea sings on,